for Davis as well. Max Glazer, a second-team selection. Ethan Horde, honorable mention for the Big West, as along with Luke Goodman, who made the all-freshman team for UC Davis. But goals, Tony, are going to be at a premium. Both these teams are used to playing tight games. They play tight, they play close, they can play physical. The first goal is always important in soccer. It'll have a little more leverage tonight between these two squads.
Because, and we were talking about it before, you've got all the numbers that whichever team, these two teams this year that have scored the first goal, it is absolutely huge.
Matadors 5-0 when they score first.
That may be a corner, no, it's a throw, and that's way deep down.
And Davis 4-0
in
Big West games. And there's Terry Davila looking at his squad. These teams played a tough one. It was a white knuckler on October 8th. And it was Davis with a goal by Ryan Dieter in the 12th minute. They took a 1-0 victory. And they've won the last 4 matches between these two teams, dating back to 2018, the Big West tournament. They played here on Halloween night as the ball's headed ahead into the box and then played out, trying to keep it in. This is
nice
a shot from Johnson, and rising up is Chuck Jansen, and A.J. Johnson, the backliner. He was a first-team All-Big West selection. Get a look there at Jansen, the sophomore from Sebastopol, California.
Johnson, no goals on the year, but 7 shots. 1 was on goal. That was a rocket from well outside the 18. What you want to do, you want to get that first goal? Put the shots up. Maybe something happens.
Initiating the corner is Johnson, headed away on the near post, stepping up and making the play. I think that was Jason Sue for UC Davis, and Sue has been excellent. The redshirt freshman.
They go with a short one there, and then in, and that's going to be almost another corner.
Again, it's headed out by UC Davis. I believe that was Horde getting up there. Chipping it ahead, again, is Johnson, maintaining control in the 18. Some density in the box for the Matadors as Arrington will run it down. Michael Arrington back healthy again. Missed some time earlier in the year. The sophomore out of Fresno played for a state championship team at Fresno City College as Edwards sends it out wide to Ricketts. Ricketts the cross for Reed, but deflected away. Trying to get Jack Reed in this one early. He had a magnificent game winner against Fullerton on Saturday that elevated the Matadors into that 3-way tie for second place. They ended up the 4th seed after the tiebreakers were all factored in. So Ricketts has it knocked away from him. That was Zach Lillington stepping up and marking the Matadors' first-team All-Big West selection.
Lillington, a 6'4", 190-pound freshman. A lot of height on that back line there.
13 true freshmen for head coach Dwayne Schaefer in UC Davis as it's knocked away. That's Ubrick.
And more importantly, you keep Davis down here if you're Northridge. And now you're using a little bit of high pressure because your back line is all pushed up, and you see him force and try to get that counterattack right here.
Swept away as Ricketts trying to make something happen, but A.J. Johnson will chase it down. Johnson and he were roommates. They were teammates in high school at St. Benedict's. They might have been roommates. I didn't know if they were roommates, but they were definitely teammates. St. Ben's, if you remember, was where Danny Hurley got his coaching start out there in New Jersey.
You're a Jersey boy.
Indeed I am. Born and raised and very proud of it. Ricketts off, that was Reed off the shoulder, but out comes Jansen to play it on the hop. And, Cooper Wenzel has been outstanding for CSUN. Chuck Jansen has been every bit as good for UC Davis. Statistically, they're fairly comparable on the season.
Very much so. 5 shutouts for Jansen on the year. Career high 8 saves against UCI in a game last year.
And Arrington trying to get physical with Horde, and Glasser touches it over. And Glasser's he's kind of the facilitator. He's a dangerous player. He set up the goal earlier back on October 8th. That was the margin of victory for UC Davis. And he was one of the 3 guys that's back. Bilter, the other one, and then Andy Velasquez were the 3 returnees. We mentioned how young Davis is, but those kind of were the 3 stalwarts and the mainstays from last year. And they've done a nice job as kind of being that core 3 among the rest of these UC Davis Aggies, Tony.
And it's the older guys teaching the younger guys. Here's how we do it. Here's the culture. Here's how we prepare for games. Here's how we, react to things and everything. And Glasser, no wonder he's so good. He's 7 points on the year. Won a state championship in track in the 400 back in high school.
Well, I talked to Dwayne Schaefer. He said he may be the fastest soccer player in the Big West. He actually, with the COVID year, he went and ran track at UC Davis when they didn't have soccer. Even the Big West canceled the season.
There you go. Let me do something.
Kept him in shape, obviously kept the competitive juices flowing. Here's Velasquez sending it wide, and they'll play it back. And this is the freshman Luke Goodman. He was on the all-freshman team for the Big West. Very ballyhooed freshman season. And Jason Sue plays it to the left side for Cole Pond. That back line has been very strong for Davis all year. We mentioned the struggles in terms of scoring goals, Tony. At least in conference play, both these teams have been locked down on defense.
Yeah, very, very much so. And that's, you say it all along, it's a bit cliche-ish. Offense wins games, defense wins championships.
Here's Dylan Gonzalez in the corner. He's battling against Fernandez Kim, and Fernandez Kim sets it up the right side. Quick touch for Horde, and then Gerhardt heads it down, but now Horde controlling. He's the transfer from Green Bay out of Racine, Wisconsin. Nice movement, one-on-one. He goes down, and a whistle at the top of the 18. That's a look at Ethan Horde. Our officials tonight, Frank Anderson, the referee. His assistants are Irving Navarro and Adrian Gonzalez.
There's Horde, couple goals and assists on the year, 37 shots.
He's hit the post, according to his coach, 7 times this year. So maybe a little bit of luck. He could have had a couple more goals and sporting the gloves.
Yeah, everybody is tonight except us.
Nobody said we were bright, Tony.
No, we're not. We're not. I got no electricity going to my light bulbs, that's for sure.
Here's Velasquez with the free kick to the left side, trying to bend it, and it will bend, but it'll go over that end line, but off of Matadors. So a set piece coming up for UC Davis.
Corner kicks on the year. Davis, they're even. You know, they've got 95 and they've given up 92.
These teams, if you look at the numbers, Tony, fairly comparable.
Very comparable.
Here's the chip. Headed in, and where's Wenzel on the near post? Cooper Wenzel, second team All Big West selection, and he has really stepped up big for the Matadors on the year, Tony. Over his last 5 matches, allowed just 2 goals, 4 of those being shutouts. Those goals both came in the same game, that October 22nd loss here at Matador Soccer Field to UC Irvine and former CSUN assistant Yossi Raz. I'm looking right now is that Irvine up 1-0.
They were up 1-0. We saw that.
They just started the second half over there down off of University.
So you play it short. Now Northridge, not really hard, high pressure, but here they come now. Try and get a turnover here and maybe get a quick goal.
That style of Terry Davila, very similar style with he and Dwayne Schaefer. They're going to just apply pressure throughout the 90 minutes. Try to make something happen. Here's Brian Bustamante. Left foot sends it deep, looking for Ricketts. And Bustamante, you know, not a lot of numbers, but anchoring the back line in the middle, one of those center backs, he has done a fantastic job for Terry Davila. As you get a look at Victor Garcia.
Yeah, local product out of Taft High School in Woodland Hills.
A lot of local guys playing for Terry Davila. Nice through ball to Glasser. Glasser in the 18, has the angle, the cross, and deflected away on the far side. Here's the rebound from Horde, and it finds the back of the net. Ethan Horde in a mad scramble gives Davis a 1-0 lead.
Well, it's deja vu all over again. They scored early in the last game, and they score early tonight, about 8.5 minutes in.
Ethan Horde, the mad scramble, they handled the early chance, and then it went back across the box to Horde. And I don't think Horde, he struck it just enough. Obviously, it was just good enough. It looked like he didn't strike it like he wanted to.
Yeah, maybe it deflected off of him. We'll see if we have a replay.
So Glasser making it happen. He did this last time as well, looking for Fernandez Kim, and then kind of slowing it. He had to kind of reach.
Oh, it looked like it went off of Furatani, and maybe a mix-up with Wenzel there, where you got it, I got it. You put your hands out, I put my foot there, and we get mixed up.
Either way, 9th minute, it's 1-0 UC Davis. Chipped in by Furatani. Racing down is Reed. The Matadors had some pressure early in the match. Tony weren't able to really exert or get a shot off, and there's Ethan Horde capitalizing, and it's all about opportunities. They say it'll come back to you as Gearhart sends it airborne. We talked earlier about Horde hitting the post 7 times.
Yeah.
So that was a makeup for one of them, right?
Yeah.
You keep digging, you keep gritting, eventually something's going to come your way.
If you keep shooting, the ball's eventually going to find its way to the back of the net.
Horde was a great story because they recruited him out of high school, even though he was in Wisconsin. They knew him through the AAU circuit or the club circuit. He'd played some in Arizona, as the header on the far side headed out by UC Davis, and the whistle will bring it the other way.
In the box on Northridge.
And because I talked to Toy and Schaefer, they said, well, we knew about him when he was coming out of high school as players slow to get up. I think that's Bilter for UC Davis. He's a junior. The defender is one of the guys who came back last year, one of the returnees. We mentioned a lot of new players for Coach Dwayne Schaefer and UC Davis. But getting back to Horde, he decided at the time out of high school, hey, I'm going to stay local, University of Green Bay. And then
it gets cold there.
Well, he grew up in Wisconsin, though.
It's still.
But he went in the portal, and I said, Coach, like, what did he say? Like, he said, hey, it's time to make a move. He made the move to Davis, and obviously, 10 minutes into this one, it's worked out swimmingly for both.
Very well, very well. You look at that foul just right now in the box. These teams had 20 fouls the last time they played, so it's going to be physical. It may get a little bit chippy.
Cal Poly led the Big West in fouls in conference games. Matadors right there at number 2. UC Davis right behind them at number 3. I think it was 3 fouls, I think 119, 116.
It's not what you want to lead the conference in, but you know what? Sometimes there are good fouls and there are bad fouls,
Correct.
I think.
Correct. It's all about timing. There are times you want to be physical and there are times you want to be careful. Michael Arrington will jog back. Looks like he's going to do the honors here as we get a look at Terry Davila. His team now down 1-0, playing in the 11th minute. Here's Johnson, left foot rolls. Horde punches it out.
Well, it was deflected going in, and then Horde just sends that back out, clears it, give your team a chance to reset.
1-0 UC Davis, 9th minute off the foot of Ethan Horde. That's the difference in the game right now. Johnson pushing it through.
Got to go more of an angle so you can get Ricketts going down to the corner.
And they're working their plan a little bit, trying to maybe set something up for later. Get a look at Dwayne Schaefer, 26th-year head coach, UC Davis. Here's a number. You'll appreciate this, Tony, because you cover a lot of different sports. So since Davis went D1, there have been 13 Big West postseason conference tournaments. Davis has been in 11 of them. And in those 11, they've been out of the first round 9 times. It's like Mike Holmgren in the NFL or Tom Izzo in the NCAA tournament. When Davis gets into the postseason, they usually end up in the semifinals.
Well, it was like North Carolina all those years in the NCAA tournament. How many years in a row they go to the Sweet 16?
Izzo, I remember, had a string where he was like, I think, 12 of 13 where Michigan State got out of the first round. It was a long string. And I think overall it's like 20 of 24.
That's great. It's great. That just shows you success.
Just consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
Right.
Yep.
There's an expectation and there's consistency, and you can certainly say that about Dwayne Schaefer's club. They made the NCAA tournament back in 2019, his 3rd trip to the postseason in the NCAA. As Jack Reed emerges with it, pushes it wide on the right side for Marley Edwards for CSUN. Matadors trailing 1-0, trying to get it going. Action has been fast and furious, and Edwards sends it airborne, the transfer. He's had a very good year for CSUN, working that right side. And this one, though, will come back the other way for UC Davis. There's Dylan Gonzalez, honored at Senior Day a couple of weeks ago. The transfer from the Lancaster area. And then there's his head coach in the background looming, Milan Radovic, one of the assistant coaches for CSUN.
Gonzalez, Antelope Valley was the Western State Conference Defensive Player of the Year.
And just so active and dynamic. I was talking with you before the match as the Matadors control here. And, Steve Sampson knows a thing or two about soccer. And when I was talking with him when they played here, he said going over the scouting report, the guy that he was looking at was that number 3, Dylan Gonzalez.
Sometimes I don't care what sport it is, you get a player that does the things that you don't see on the score sheet.
Precisely.
I'm in the right spot. I'm positioned correctly. I make something else happen that leads to a goal or leads, to a score or something. I make good things happen without the ball.
Ubrick
That's a nice ball, and there you go down and
touches ahead to Reed, and out comes the flag.
Just a little bit.
And looks like Horde is shook up on the other side of the field for UC Davis as we're into the 14th minute. Davis, the goal in the 9th minute to take the lead 1-0. It was at, I believe it was at 8:17. There was some traffic in the box, and after the first attempt was turned away by Wenzel, the ball came out to the other side of the 18, and from the left side, Ethan Horde got it past Cooper Wenzel to make it 1-0 in favor of UC Davis.
That's a good recap.
Here's Horde. I think that's what we're here for, Tom.
Yeah, we are. We're here to talk about soccer, and I think he got one up, right in the jaw there.
And he's going to stay in the match. Hey, he's like, hey, I already scored.
I scored. I'm not leaving. I'm staying in.
He's from Wisconsin, man. This is
this is great weather for him. He's got a tank top on, waiting to get a suntan. So take the gloves off. There you go.
Here comes
underneath
Jansen.
These.
Jansen sends it deep, and the Matadors try to play it out. Horde is back in.
Not a foul there. It was a push, but I'm not an official. Oh, there's a foul.
Down goes Bustamante, and it's Velasquez grabbing the Ubrick's jersey, and there's a little bit of confusion. That's the whole thing. Is you're the Matadors, you want to start.
You want to go quick. Like
right.
Gerhardt tried to do the quick restart, but the official's like, "No way, dude. Where are you going?" So there's the foul. A little trip.
Those European guys, they want to get the ball and go.
Okay, there's a ball here. There's one in the middle, and somebody just kicked one off the field. So which one are we playing with? All right, let's go with this one.
I know I told you there'd be no math, Tony. Sorry.
No, none.
Here's Fernandez Kim. Right foot sends it ahead. Nice through ball, but deflected by Johnson. And then Edwards playing it for CSUN. Matadors trail this 1-0. We're in the 15th minute here. Big West Championship, first-round match. Winner gets a date in Riverside with Tim Capello and his club on Saturday. By the way, congratulations, Tim, Big West Coach of the Year here in 2022. Goodman sends it out. 50-50 ball headed away by Arrington, trying to get it to Gerhardt.
Ooh, Gerhardt almost had that foot up a little bit too high there, but he decided to keep it down.
Sue playing it on the left side. They'll play it ahead to Dieter. Dieter had the goal the last time these two teams met.
And that was early in the game, too, I believe right around the 11th minute.
12,
is that
11:57, the 12th minute.
11, 12, tomato.
You and Nigel Tufnell.
Yes.
Goes to 11.
Goes to 11. Why don't you just make 10-1 louder? Goes to 11.
Bilter at midfield will reset for Goodman. And here's the strategy now with Dwayne Schaefer's club. They're up 1-0.
And minimal pressure here. Minimal pressure. Reed is the only one really up top. And now you're going to bring a little bit of pressure there with Ubrick.
And this is the cat and mouse. So these two guys, they're old Lions. Dwayne Schaefer at the helm for 26 years, Terry Dablow 24. I think Davis is playing that to kind of see how the layout comes for
What are you going to do?
Right? Yeah. It's a kind of a show me what you're doing in this situation.
It's kind of like bringing your queen out early to see how you react.
There you go. Sometimes, those football coaches, they'll run that weird play just so it's on film so they can run it the other way the next time somebody sees it.
Right. Or I'm going to run motion and I'm going to see how you react to it early in the game. Then I'm going to run something over and over and over again with the intent of doing something off of that later.
Ball on the outside for UC Davis. The Aggies already have taken a 1-0 lead. Dieter touches it to Fernandez Kim. He'll send it back to Velasquez. Andy, the sixth-year player, will touch it ahead to Dieter. Now he's emerging. Right foot rolls it up in front, and that's Lillington battling with Arrington.
Almost a trip there, but it gives him the advantage. And there goes Ricketts down the side with some speed.
Here's Jamar. He can run for days, as they say. He's working on Bilter, a little one-on-one action. The kid from Montclair, New Jersey. And what's underrated about...
Well, you get the... I don't mean to cut you off, but now you get the corner kick out of it.
I was going to say, what's underrated about Ricketts is kind of the bumps he takes, the physicality he takes, and he always bounces right back up. You still got to account for him.
5'9", 155 pounds. Tough, and strong, good balance.
That might be generous. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely... He can, run for days, run like the wind.
Bullseye. Run like the wind, bullseye.
There's Ricketts. The first team All Big West selection. He was a second teamer last year.
You may get another one out of that because that was headed for that far post, bending in.
Jansen does a nice job knocking it away.
I guess he didn't touch it.
Must have gone off a Matador. Yeah, maybe he didn't touch it. Chuck Jansen had a couple of saves on Wednesday in the win over Sac State.
I like the fact that he wants to become a winemaker when he's older. So I'm going to give him my number. Say, when you become a winemaker, I'm going to come up and be a wine drinker.
You just want those extra benefits, Tony.
Yes.
You're getting it on the ground floor. That's not fair.
Yes. Hey, I'll invest.
There are worse things to invest in, I'll tell you.
That is true. Bitcoin.
Here's Bustamante. You're going to get me in trouble, Tony. Be careful with that. Furatani sends it out.
A lot of high pressure here by Davis. You see them running a triangle with the three guys. I'm being blocked by the referee. I think Hord's one of them.
Lillington, and Glasser. Yeah. Glasser, the three guys running that triangle as it's on the outside. And this is Reed in the corner on the whistle. Come back the other way. Now, the Matadors have gotten calls against them on some offsides recently, and they lost a goal, as you got to look at Dwayne Schaefer. They lost a goal against UC Irvine back on the 22nd that was ruled because it was offside. I think sometimes you just got to be aggressive with that, Tony.
Yes.
And eventually you'll get one. Maybe you're a little bit offside, but they don't see it or they won't call it.
I'm going to make you make the call.
Right. There you go.
And Coach Schaefer's out here yelling at Glasser, hey, you've got to coach him. And there's a reason you want. Glasser's a smart guy. He's majoring in chemical engineering.
It's impressive.
I'm looking at some of these guys and what they're majoring in.
And UC Davis is no joke.
No. I mean, there's some real students up there.
Dieter touches to Fernandez Kim. He'll send it back on the outside. Here's Pond playing it back for UC Davis. Sue is along the back line.
See, now they're kind of waiting for it to come to the midfield here to pressure.
Lillington trying to turn, working against Furatani, and there's Ricketts with a touch.
And there should be a foul. There is one right there.
So down goes Kanata Furatani. Furatani, an interesting story coming to CSUN. Shiga, Japan, though, comes to the Matadors by way of Lyon College in Arizona, an NAIA school.
Is it Arizona or Arkansas?
Arkansas. And
there's an A&R in there.
But he also played at Indian Hills Community College in Iowa before that. So a well-traveled young man.
Well, you get the Midwest, you get the South, and now you're at the beach. I'm not leaving.
There's Reed. Sends it airborne to the outside. Gonzalez plays it down for CSUN. Dylan trying
then he just sends it to nobody out there.
Lillington shutting it off, and the ball's still loose, and Fernandez Kim will sweep it ahead. Racing back is Arrington wearing the gloves for CSUN. Michael, missed most of the early part of the year. He was dealing with some injuries, but since he's been healthy, he's been pretty good, averaging about 85 minutes over his last 5 matches. The previous 7 matches to that, Tony, he was only playing about 23 minutes per game.
Yeah, academic all-conference last year.
He was one of the guys that really emerged last year, along with Jordan Isibor, and the Matadors lost Isibor early this season to an injury. And those two were just a dynamic combination when they were on the pitch together as Bustamante rolls it ahead. Redirected, and Fernandez Kim right there to get the counter for UC Davis. Nice tackle there by Bustamante, but recovered by Dieter. Here's Dieter in the box.
That's a nice takeaway there. Just stick that foot out while he's trying to do that little step over move and deflect it out, and now you're on the counterattack.
22nd minute, it's 1-0 UC Davis. Gazal Hassan with you along with Tony Moskal, and goal in the 9th minute for Davis off the foot of Ethan Horde. That's the difference right now. That's Jason Sue right there, and he's been fantastic for Davis. He's the redshirt freshman out of San Rafael in the Bay Area. Not a lot on the numbers side, but consistent on that back line and communicating with his goalkeeper, Charles Jansen. And you mentioned right place, right time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at least in the games we've seen against CSUN, he's been in the right place at the right time, Tony.
Yeah, and I don't need everybody to score. I need guys to do that dirty work. If you're a hockey fan, it's the guy that's going to do all the work in the corners and dig the puck out. I need the guy that's going to scramble for the ball and get a deflection and get that ball to open space.
It's interesting, we talk about other sports. There's role guys. Soccer really you're playing on the field. The goalie's role obviously is very clearly defined, but you have maybe 3 or 4 guys you know exactly what they're going to do, and the other 5 or 6 kind of got to do a little bit of everything. And we mentioned it might get a little testy, and now A.J. Johnson kind of didn't like how that came down. Lillington getting tangled up with Johnson, both going over aggressively and kind of rolling over him. That's kind of what I think.
And you know what? If I'm Lillington, that's a good foul. I think that's a good foul. I'm so far away that, you know what, I'm gonna say, look, I'm gonna be physical with you. I'll take the call out here.
Ricketts, airborne.
A little too far.
Gonzalez coming over, and the ball escapes into the corner. Matadors trying to keep it alive. Johnson overruns it as it rolls back to their side of the field over midfield. And now Ethan Horde is on for UC Davis, but the Matadors maintain possession, trailing 1-0 here in the 24th minute. First round Big West Men's Soccer Championships. Winner gets the date in Riverside on Saturday. Ubrick with a touch. Arrington wide. Arrington deflected, turning around and deflecting. It was Bilter. Running it down is for Atani with Glasser pursuing, and the throw in for CSUN. Arrington to Gerhardt. Gerhardt really, no pun intended, got into gear about midway through the season once the Big West season started. I know he was dealing with an injury or two and with an adjustment. As Horde running on the left side. Horde's already got one tonight. Trying one-on-one.
Trying a little give and go, but a nice step by the Matadors to knock that away.
Maintaining integrity on defense. Now here's Velasquez will play it wide. Cole Pond to Dieter. Velasquez and Glasser, those are the 2 guys that kind of make things go on the offense. They get other players involved in the match, Tony.
You need to do that. Because then if you're looking at me only and you know that I'm going to maybe distribute the ball or do a good job getting other guys involved, now you can't really key on me as that's a shot on goal.
There's the strike from Dieter, who had a goal the last time these 2 teams met, and nice play. There's Cooper Wenzel, the sophomore out of Fresno, and he has been fantastic for the Matadors this year. Second team all Big West selection, 7 shutouts this year.
Well, here it is. It's a low shot or high bounced. And, a night game, the turf is a little bit slippery. Maybe you get a weird bounce or a skip off that.
Here's Bustamante for CSUN, sending it ahead, but Bilter right there to add it down. Velasquez battling for Atani. Goodman sweeps it out. Bustamante, though, chests it over for Atani. Here comes Lillington. He'll send it wide. Velasquez, they're playing that left side. They must see something over there as Pond will play it back for UC Davis. 1-0 Aggies. Matadors now, Tony, as we descend into the 27th minute here. They've been held scoreless against UC Davis for over 300 minutes.
Yeah,
Goes back to October of 2018. It was the Big West tournament back then, too. In fact, over the last 327 minutes between these 2 teams, Tony, the Aggies have outscored the Matadors 11-1.
Now, I'm going to be Captain Obvious here and say, that's not good if you're the Matadors. That's great if you're the Aggies, because now it's that confidence thing. Hey, we put 1 on the board. They haven't scored against us in how long? Since Eisenhower was president? Well, okay, we're good here.
That's the whole thing, is you want to break the seal on that, right?
Yep.
It's like that bottle of wine in the front parlor. Once you break the seal, everything's going to be okay. But the longer that lingers, maybe it stays in your head. I think that's why coaches don't like that stuff. They don't like to know that stuff.
No, they don't. They don't want to know it, even though they do know it.
That was very Al Pacino of you from, what was that movie he did with John Cusack? Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
But right now the Matadors trying to figure out a way to score. We talked about it in the open, Tony, that how important the first goal was going to be with these two teams kind of locked in a defensive struggle, and it's played out that way over the first 28 minutes.
Going to get a handball there, kind of rode up on his leg a little bit.
So next opportunity, we'll get a couple of substitutions. Marvin Arias, the freshman local kid out of Chatsworth High, Winnetka product, looking to check in.
The Chancellors.
We'll get a look at Zachary Batchelor, the sophomore from Santa Rosa, ready to enter the match for UC Davis. 1-0 Aggies, playing in the 28th minute here. Big West Championships, first-round match. 4-seed Matadors against the 5-seed, the UC Davis Aggies.
We got a couple local kids now. Coming into the game is going to be Pineda. He's a Birmingham guy. The Patriots.
Both coaches do a good job kind of mining their areas.
Yes.
In terms of recruiting, Tony.
A couple local kids from here. You got a Palmdale kid, a kid from Hart. You got a couple Birmingham guys. You got a couple Servite. Some real quality soccer when you look at boys programs up here. And then, speak of the Valley, you got a young man from Crespi on the other side.
I know that's near and dear to your heart, Tony, your alma mater.
My alma mater. I didn't even remember us having soccer when I was there.
Yeah, you said you didn't remember much about Crespi having soccer.
I don't remember much about high school. There was, forget it.
Terry Davila, the head coach at CSUN, he also runs the club team Real SoCal, so a lot of the talent from the Valley goes through that club program, and Dwayne Schaefer has his program up in Northern California as Batchelor enters the game along with Arias and Pineda. So Marley Edwards will come to the bench, as will Idris Ubrick. And Pineda, he could be the X factor. If you joined us late, no David Diaz. He was scratched before the match for CSUN. And Pineda's going to play that role that Diaz has been playing as the facilitator as the kick comes in. Circling back is Johnson, who fires a shot off. Deflected. Batchelor getting some early action, getting in there. 50-50 ball. In comes Arias.
Oh, that's a little bit of embellishment there, I think. You got a guy in your back and you yell a little bit, you're going to get the call. But you know what? Hey, if it works, it works. Davis ball going the other way.
So here's Luke Goodman setting it up, and he's an interesting story. We talked about it in the first match. He is he's got a twin who plays on the team, Kason Goodman, but he is one of 4 quintuplets.
Quadruplets. Quin, quad.
The quad is 4, quin is 5.
Yeah.
I messed that up. That's my bad, Tommy.
I mean, that's crazy. Quadruplets. Wow.
They were on Oprah when he was 6 months old. Lobs it into the far side, and it's headed over the fence.
And speaking of the brother, here he comes.
Here comes Kason. They have a couple of other siblings. Barrett, who plays men's soccer at Western Washington, and Lila, their sister, runs track at NYU. So not only are they a unique family, they're an athletic family. How about that?
Well, talk about a good academic school, NYU. Holy Toledo. They wouldn't even let me on that campus to mow the lawn.
31st minute, it's 1-0 UC Davis. Intensity going to pick up a little bit. Actually, we've been pretty intense all night. Pineda gets his first touch.
It's been a clean physical game. You go back to the last game, there were 20 fouls. There were 8 yellows and a red in that game.
So Arrington will do the honors, and he'll throw it back for CSUN. Davis doing a nice job organizing in terms of protecting their lead. The Matadors want to be a little bit disruptive on offense. Haven't been as much. They had a couple of early shots early. They had a couple shots early, Tony, but I think Davis did a really nice job.
The first 5 minutes was all Northridge in the defense in the Davis end, and then you get you come down one time and you get a goal if you're Davis. And that's the thing with soccer is it doesn't matter how much time you spend with the ball in my zone. All I need is a goal as Ricketts cuts inside, and they're going to get a corner out of that.
Bilter knocks it away from Jamar, and it'll be a corner kick for CSUN. Oscar Cardenas waiting to check in. Sophomore from the Sacramento area, Elk Grove, so I'm sure Dwayne Schaefer pretty cognizant of his ability, although he decided to come play down for Terry Davila here at CSUN.
Yeah, Bilter, another multi-sport guy. Ran the 200, 400, 4x1 and the high jump in high school. So high jump here, look for him to go up, maybe get a header, knock it out. As
Jansen.
Yep.
comes out and makes the play on the high ball in. And Jansen taking control back there. Communication, as you know, Tony, so important. Everybody knew exactly where they needed to be, and Jansen kind of sliced through and grabbed the ball out of the air.
So, I got it, guys. If it's in the air and I can get it, I'm going to come get it.
CSUN trying to set something up, but Davis, we mentioned on defense, has been fairly disruptive.
13 for 9. Okay. One more red.
So into the game, you're going to get Edson Palos.
Out of Bell High School.
Yep.
He's a local kid. So Furatani comes to the bench. Kanata Furatani out of the match in favor of Oscar Cardenas, and then Edson Palos will check in. Palos hasn't played. He didn't play against UC Davis last time. I believe the last game he played in was against Sac State back on October 5th. Jack Reed also comes to the bench for the Matadors. We're in the 34th minute. Kevin Welch into the match for Ethan Horde. Welch, the sophomore out of Santa Rosa.
Yeah, Welch is a major in aeronautical science and engineering.
Arrington heads it out. Glasser keeps it in. And the Matadors trying to clear it, but nice job by Velasquez.
Well, you see Davis, you see their back line pushed way, way up beyond the midfield.
So end of the half, maybe trying to see if they can get some magic here as one Goodman sweeps it across to the other. Brothers playing, that's Sue actually sending it ahead. Jason Sue's been so important to UC Davis all year along that back
And there
line.
you get a takeaway, now you can counter.
Here's Gonzalez trying to make a play. Touches it ahead on the right side. Here's Arias. Marvin, one of the captains for the Matadors, the senior I mentioned, the local guy. First touch for Cardenas. Cardenas, I know, has been slowed by injuries this year. Such a talented young player for CSUN. Oscar plays it down.
Now you just switch sides, see if you can make something happen down here.
Kaysen Goodman applying the pressure, getting into the match and applying some pressure for UC Davis. And there's the guy, Ricketts, for CSUN, but Davis very cognizant of that. Welch draped all over him.
Yep.
And now Bustamante sends it high. Arrington running back, but headed back out by Sue for UC Davis.
Good ball down the side.
In the box. Knocked out. It'll stay with CSUN. CSUN will maintain possession here. There's Kevin Welch. Get a look at him, the sophomore from Santa Rosa.
You see Terry's giving instructions. They can score here, it would be huge.
Well, you get a tally before you go in at halftime. Huge lift for CSUN.
Yep. No, and if you're Davis and you get one, it's enormous.
We saw that happen on Saturday last week with UC Irvine. They got two quick ones, and it really kind of deflated the Matadors.
Well, and they're up 2-0 right now against Sac State.
So the winner of that goes to UC Santa Barbara. How about UC Riverside kind of winning that, in essence, a championship game at the end of the season? They win the match at home against Santa Barbara to take first place. Tim Vom Steeg's team has kind of developed a reputation. They're kind of that bell cow here in the Big West, but it's been a very closely contested, very open Big West Conference here in 2022.
And that's what you like. You don't want one team to run away with it, and you want that competition.
It was just weird how, for most of the year, the Big West kind of looked like Santa Barbara and everybody else, and then just all it was going to take was one team, and it was Riverside that kind of knocked the Gauchos off the top of the mountain. In fact, the Highlanders with the
That's going to be a little too far.
I remember when the Highlanders were here, I was joking with Tim Capello because their record wasn't great. I think the last time they made the NCAA tournament, they started something like 0-7-2. So I'm like, Coach, you got them right where you want them.
Yeah, exactly.
Little did we know. Glasser against Ricketts. Davis leading. We're in the 37th minute. This is Kaysen Goodman, 50-50 ball with Bustamante, who heads it ahead, but Davis with the possession. Bilter, the junior from St. Ignatius Prep, Hillsborough, California guy. And he was one of the three main returnees for Coach Dwayne Schaefer here in 2022. Running back is Goodman. Palos chasing him. Jansen gets it out. It's it past Bustamante, and there's Johnson will get whistled.
They're going to get a card here.
So a yellow card issued to A.J. Johnson. And Kason Goodman, you'll appreciate this. Hope he's not hurt, but he's kind of flopping around like Mike Patton in the old Faith No More video. You ever remember that video, Epic?
No. Sorry.
The great Mike Patton.
Who's Mike Patton?
He was the lead singer of Faith No More, Tony. Come on.
I don't know who Faith No More is.
Oh, you're missing out.
That's like, man, that looks like a Saturday afternoon tackle in the SEC.
Well, Kason Goodman, no worse for the wear.
He's up and he's good to go.
From Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I've honestly never heard of that band.
They were big for a while. They were big. MTV all the time.
God, I haven't watched MTV since Mark Goodman was on it.
Yeah, I'm going back to like 1992. So
okay, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. The free kick initiated. This is Velasquez sending it left. And the Matadors try to run it down. Davis has done such a good job of maintaining the possession here. Tony, like the Matadors a couple of times trying to get it out of the zone.
Yeah.
And they're able to keep it in.
That's the pressure they're playing. We mentioned it earlier. One guy at the midfield, everybody else is up beyond the circle, and then the top of that circle, and they're just keeping that ball in there. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to force the Matadors into a mistake, and there they make another one.
Glasser and Velasquez have been very good at maintaining that possession in the offensive zone for UC Davis. And it was interesting, I was talking to Dwayne Schaefer, they lost 3 pretty significant guys last year, and he only had 3 returning starters. 75% of the production from last year was lost to UC Davis. That was a team that reached the Big West semifinals against UC Santa Barbara. It was a thriller of a game, a thriller for everybody except Dwayne Schaefer and the Aggies. When you lose 2-1 in overtime in the 107th minute, that's no fun for anybody.
No.
39th minute here, 1-0 UC Davis. Michael Arrington there. Now you get a look at Brian Bustamante. But it was, Max Arfton, Grant Fuller, and Robert Mejia. He thought at least 2 of those guys would be back. None of them came back. Mejia.
Ooh. There's another one. Maybe we're going to get another card.
So Johnson goes down. That's A.J. Johnson. We'll see another yellow issued. And I believe that would be issued to Kason Goodman, the freshman for UC Davis. But Robert Mejia went over to UC Irvine, and he's playing there right now.
Yeah, that's going to be, he just drilled him.
And Max Arfin now is with the Earthquakes Academy, so he had to kind of reshuffle the deck, did Dwayne Schaefer. And we'll get our first look at Keegan Whalen Bent. He's the sophomore out of Toronto by way of Crespi High School.
Good size. I mean, you look 6'2", but a thick 6'2".
See, if you were still at Crespi, you would have recruited him to be a safety.
No, yeah. Or, a receiver.
He had a brace against CSUN last year, and he actually left the match against the Matadors on October 8th. He was sent off on a red in the 41st minute.
So he's got that football mentality.
Very physical, very tough. And, yeah, I mean, he's got the size. That's the first thing that jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Those long loping strides. He can cover a lot of ground as Cardenas trying to navigate his way into the offensive zone, but standing him up as Welch. Johnson sends it ahead.
See, and now you're forcing, because you're doing such a good job clogging up the middle, you're forcing them to try and play over the top.
Get a look at Chuck Jansen there. Coach Schaefer really praised Jansen. He said, this guy, he's a leader, and what's more important is when he communicates, people listen. He knows what to tell people and when to tell them as Ricketts emerging.
Good
Touches
ball.
it for Palos. Palos with the shot and a score! Yes, indeed. Edson Palos from Jamar Ricketts. We are level. And we'll get a look at the replay, Tony. Jamar Ricketts made that chance.
Just a beautiful ball through. Catches it in stride, takes a couple touches. Bam. See, there's space right there, and he doesn't have to move, like change direction, and he left foots it in past Jansen.
You go back about 3 steps, though. That wasn't a scoring chance. Jamar Ricketts made that scoring chance by accelerating. The Matadors had such a problem getting into the offensive zone, and Jamar said, let me take care of this.
Well, it's one of those things where you're that inside defender. You've got to respect Ricketts. You've got to respect his speed and his goal-scoring ability. If you play back a little, you know what he did? He played it perfectly, because maybe you see that defender take a step towards me. When he does, boom, I play it through.
In the area for UC Davis as well, the Matadors send it out. And Palos, we talked earlier in the game about margin for error, where there's not much. Palos had minimum margin for error, and he got the strike right where he needed to, Tony.
So you're going to get a yellow card here. It looked like Dikembe Mutombo blocking a shot. And that's Velasquez trying to prevent the throw-in. It was clearly off the Davis player. But sometimes in soccer, everybody thinks if they come and run to get the ball first, if the official didn't see it, they'll give it to me.
I kind of like gamesmanship. I kind of like that.
Yeah, you have to.
It's a little bit annoying when a guy rides on the ground when he's not hurt, but, you understand in the context of the match what they're doing.
It's funny. I will say this, that watching girls or women play soccer, there's not that type of gamesmanship with laying on the ground, faking all the injuries. You see that so much more in the men's game.
The men's game does move a little bit faster, though.
Oh, it's much faster.
One apiece here in the 41st minute. CSUN and UC Davis. Edson Palos hadn't played since October 5th.
Ooh.
Gets his opportunity and ties the match for CSUN.
Wow.
Sean Bilter stepping up there, the junior for UC Davis. Long ball in. Bustamante trying to head it up. Instead, Johnson will chip it away. Palos back there against Glasser. Matadors headed away. Ricketts trying to control. Coming in as Velasquez bumps him down. Back to Jansen for UC Davis. So
now, if Northridge can get out of this, without giving up, and I'm not trying to favor one or the other, but you haven't scored against them in so long.
Right.
And now you get that one right there. That's such a confidence, momentum thing for the Matadors. Now, if you're Davis, what you want to do is you want to keep that pressure up that you've had the entire game.
319-minute string, scoreless. UC Davis had held the Matadors scoreless since October 31st of 2018, over 4.5 matches. The Matadors end that string in the 40th minute off the foot of Edson Palos. One apiece. We're all even yet again. Winner plays on Saturday. First round of the Big West Men's Soccer Championships. I want to call them the Gentlemen's Football Championships, Tony, like we're at Wimbledon.
But we're not at Wimbledon. And
this is the Wimbledon.
But we're not getting strawberries and ice cream.
This is the Wimbledon of the San Fernando Valley. You're the Bud Collins.
No, I want to be John McEnroe. You can't be serious.
Johnny Mac. Velasquez battling Cardenas. Sends it to the far post. Looming was Glasser. Arrington draped all over him, but Cooper Wenzel there for CSUN. And so now Wenzel gets a little bit of a lift. His team down 1-0. The equalizer makes it one apiece. And now Wenzel now knows that his team kind of gave him a little bit of a lift. And there's Patrick Landeros will run out onto the pitch. He is the athletic trainer for men's soccer for CSUN. Player down for the Matadors. Looks like A.J. Johnson. Johnson stands up. First team selection, all Big West. The transfer from Salt Lake City College. Well-traveled young man. He hails from Malawi, and he's from a town called Blantyre in Malawi. It is the financial center of the country.
It's in East Africa. I actually looked it up. I had never heard of it. And so I went to the Google, and I found it. I'm like, oh, wow, that's from there to Cal State Northridge.
Yeah,
Okay.
He went a circuitous journey, played his high school soccer at St. Benedict's in New Jersey, and then played a couple years at Salt Lake City College, and obviously he and Jamar are teammates. So they had a little bit of an in terms of scouting, and here he is. And, man, how about that? How'd you like to be the JC guy who transfers, and he's a first-team all-conference selection?
Boy, that's scouting.
Tip your cap to Terry Davila and his staff. Victor Garcia along with –
Or it's one of those things where, hey, Coach, I know a guy. Oh, really? Give me his film.
There you go. No, that's precisely how it happened from what I understand. 44th minute, it's one apiece. Davis looking for a counter here.
Nice touch.
Welch dispossessed. And now Cardenas against Fernandez Kim, who takes it away. Chips it ahead. Welch trying to keep it on his foot. The ball punched up in the air. Bilter with the throw in. Stay with us for the half. We'll talk to you. We'll bring you the first half stats and the out-of-town scoreboard courtesy of Mr. Friesman. Right now, to give you an update, 82nd minute, Irvine leading Sac State 2-0. So it looks like Yossi Raz and his squad are going to head up to the Central Coast. Matadors send the ball in deep. Palos circling. Jansen sends it out. Gearhart trying to keep it in. Arrington to the right side, but deflected back by Glasser. Running it down, here's Wallen Bent, the Crespi kid. Dispossessed. Arrington, that was Arias trying to save it, but it'll be Davis ball. Less than 30 seconds to play in the first half. We're in the 45th minute.
Ricketts, almost.
Jamar goes airborne. Play on, say the officials.
Doesn't look like he touched anybody.
Here's Bilter outside the box, sends it in front. Bustamante sends it airborne. You hear Jim Henry's countdown. Good header in there, but the Matadors right there as Fernandez Kim fires it off just as the clock expires.
Ricketts is having words right now with number 27, Cole Pond.
And I think he might have felt he undercut him. And, Ricketts from Montclair, New Jersey, they don't play that stuff.
Now, 7 minutes or so of this are very, very important as far as tempo goes. Punch your ticket. You sound like a broken record. What's that mean? Yeah.
A record that skips.
Yeah. Come on. What's a record?
Sue sends it deep. I still call them records.
So do I. Albums.
At some point in my childhood, growing up on the East Coast, I heard someone say the term record.
Record.
And that's what stayed with me.
Well, I've always wondered why you park in a driveway but drive on a parkway.
Reed on the right side of the area.
I think he stopped and hesitated a little bit, thinking he was offsides, but you got to play the whistle. It doesn't matter. Just keep going.
Gonzalez was down there, had it poked away. Dieter right in front of Dylan Gonzalez there. And then in the background there is Cole Pond for UC Davis, the sophomore from San Jose. Gearhart now moves into the picture. Lucas Fernandez Kim there. And
well, that's going to be a corner kick, so the Matadors get a break there.
So they'll get the set piece. We'll see, son. Setting it up is A.J. Johnson. And there will be some traffic now. The last time there was traffic in that area, Tony, Ethan Horde came away with a pretty nifty-looking goal for UC Davis. Johnson sends it in. For Otani playing it down. Here comes the aforementioned Ethan Horde, and he's running at top speed.
Yep.
Horde in front of A.J. Johnson. Horde looks like he'd be pretty good defensive back or wide receiver as well.
Yeah, soccer players are just signing me. I'm going to go back years, the late 80s when CSUN played at that old Devonshire Downs Stadium. Not a lot. I mean, the size of players right now is so much different. I remember some guys from that team, the Rodney Batts, the Mike Harveys, the Thorleys. The shorter guys, frail. The biggest guy I remember was John Tronson. old high school friend of mine. But I tell you what, I mean, those were some fun games up at that old stadium. It got loud and rowdy.
Now, that was the football stadium, correct?
Yes, it was.
Jansen scoops it up for UC Davis here in the second half. Winner here takes on UC Riverside on Saturday. Hotly contested match. These teams played during the regular season, Tony. It was the Aggies with the win. In fact, the Aggies have won the last 4 between these two clubs. Last time the Matadors beat the Aggies, you got to go back to the regular season in 2018, and the fly ball is recorded as an out.
Fair catch. Well, you know what? The odds are in your favor. You know, you think, all right, hey, we gotta get one. You know, you talked about going scoreless for how long, and they punch one in with 6 minutes or so to go in the half.
They broke the seal on that one, and here's Ricketts playing a little one-on-one on the outside, sends it to the near post, through the goal mouth.
Well, that's what you got to get. But now what you need is your backside guy. You need somebody there in case the ball gets through to tap that in. But a nice run by Ricketts to get there and put that, not a shot, but because it's not on goal, but to threaten.
I'm going to confess something. So obviously I'm a little biased, right? I get to watch Ricketts work every day. But I think it's fantastic that the Big West now gets to see him in this kind of a showcase because he does everything well. As Arrington trying to knock it down, but 3 white shirts envelop him. Dieter battling on the outside, trying to circle it back around is Dylan Gonzalez for CSUN, and they're battling in the corner again, sends it to the wing, and it'll be sent out by UC Davis. Horde marking Ricketts, and he'll send it away. And Horde, the same thing. I'll say the same thing about Ethan Horde. These guys getting this showcase, Tony, in the postseason, they give it their all. They give it everything. I mean, Jamar Ricketts, you see him just exerting himself on both sides of the pitch, and you just say, you know, the reward for these guys is to play in a situation like this in the postseason, heightened attention, heightened intensity.
There's nothing like playing in the postseason. There really isn't. It's a different atmosphere because – regular season, hey, we got a game on Friday, we got a game on Sunday, whenever, there's going to be a next game. Right now, if you lose, there obviously, hey, Captain Obvious, Tony, there is no next game.
Bustamante to Gearhart. You sweep it outside for Furatani. Tanaka sends it back, and now Bustamante in the middle of the pitch.
Not a lot of high pressure, but you see the mids for Davis are pushed up.
Fernandez Kim battling there with Ubrick, who's back in the match for CSUN. Furatani sends it for Reed. Reed gets up high, and the ball back to the end line where it'll be played by Jansen. Sue was circling, but again, the communication back there, we talked about what kind of a leader Jansen is.
Yeah, it's one of those things for a redshirt sophomore, and he's that confident of a leader, commanding everything back there.
Furatani heads it ahead, headed down by Velasquez for Davis. Here's Lucas Fernandez Kim kicking it back. And, it's that old cliche, and it had the added advantage of being true, that people watch everything, right? Coaches and scouts, they're watching everything. And that's what Dwayne Schaefer talked about with Chuck Jansen is that, he didn't play a whole lot last year, but they noticed a number of things in him when he was practicing on the occasions he did play and how his teammates responded. And that's big, Tony.
It's intangibles.
Sending it wide. Here's Gonzalez on the right side of the box. Gonzalez approaching across, and it's in! Yes, indeed! Gonzalez to Jack Reed. Matadors lead it 2-1. Reed was bought in because he was a big-time goal scorer, and he had a big drought between goals. Scored the game winner against Cal State Fullerton. Hadn't scored previous to that since UNLV on September 4th. And here we talk about the postseason. Watch Dylan Gonzalez gets around Dieter and makes the cross.
It's not only he gets around him, he gets deep. And now you're squeezing that, he just plays it right across. Reed does a nice job coming in parallel with him, and all you got to do is just dump that across. He just gets a foot on it.
Well, it's like what you said. You don't worry about being offside.
No, just
go in
go.
and make the play. And he makes the play there, and the Matadors with a 2-1 lead. Score coming for CSUN in the 52nd
now,
minute.
when is the last time they led against Davis?
It's a good question. Well, they beat them in the regular season in 2018. They actually led, I believe they led 1-0 in that playoff match in October of 2018 as well.
So it's been a while.
Matadors break out on top, and we talked about the momentum, Tony, and I definitely think they rode some of that momentum off that score by Edson Palos.
What you want to do now is you don't want to stop. You want to keep your foot on the gas pedal right now. And if you're Davis, what you want to do is you want to kind of quell this momentum and get the game back tempo-wise in your control.
Yeah, Matadors seem to be comfortable, Tony, when the game's a little bit helter-skelter. You know, that works both ways.
Yes, it does.
Davis certainly looking today. I mean, what have we watched now, 53 minutes or so? They've been the more organized team for the most part, correct?
You could say that, yes.
Matador is definitely playing a little more free and easy in terms of pursuing.
But then again, sometimes playing free and easy works because we're not putting any pressure on ourselves. Hey, we haven't beat them in 4 years. We haven't scored on them in however many games. You know, let's just go out and see whatever happens, happens.
Velasquez back to Bilter for UC Davis. There's Reed out trying to counter, and now Ricketts will try to make something happen. Here's Jamar in the middle of the pitch. Ricketts moving to the left side. Tracking him is Goodman. Now, here come the reinforcements. Ricketts with the strike, and Ricketts with the goal! Bada bing! Jamar Ricketts, the kid from New Jersey. Yes, indeed! Santana Moss once said, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. Jamar Ricketts willed that first goal for Edson Palos, and then he wanted to eat a little bit himself.
Well, I love the way he and Reed played off each other, where Reed went inside, and then he was kind of like weaving. Watch Reed here. Well, you really can't see him, but he was running parallel with him, and then he just gets out of the way when he sees it. He's not going to get the ball, and he clears the way for Ricketts to take that shot, and he just drills it into the back of the net.
You didn't know if Faith No More, but you remember Led Zeppelin, don't you, Tony?
Oh, duh.
Remember that song when it keeps on raining, the levee's going to break?
The levee's going to break, yep, when the levee breaks.
The Matadors kept the rain going, and the levee finally broke here against UC Davis. They lead it 3-1, and Arias will send it away as we're in the 54th minute here of the Big West Men's Soccer Championship.
And once again, don't get complacent and don't rest on your laurels. Keep the pressure on. Make the smart play. And if you're Davis now the pressure is really on you because now you're going to have to press. You're going to have to push one extra guy up. You see they've only got 3 guys back, so they press one guy up to get that extra offensive player up top.
Quick look at Dwayne Schaefer. But the one thing, if you're UC Davis, still a lot of time. You got to remember, you got to get that first. It's one goal.
I got to get the first one first. Yeah.
So you get the one, and then you strategize after that. As Sue sends it in front for Cole Pond. Pond battling Arias, the senior for CSUN, back to Sue, and on in pursuit is Jack Reed for the Matadors.
And if I'm Northridge, I'm fine with them playing that ball back.
Yep.
And there's going to be a foul. It's going to be on Gonzalez.
So an offside call.
We thought it was a foul, but it's an offsides call. So
Matadors will restart it. There's a look at Zach Lillington for UC Davis, the freshman out of Fairfax. 13 freshmen on this Dwayne Schaefer club. So the future bright for UC Davis. And he said, mostly they're 18-year-old freshmen. They're young players. They've tried to connect them with some of the older guys. And you talked about it earlier, Tony, with the guys like Velasquez and the guys like Glasser and the guys like Bilter, kind of steeping them in the culture of this program, which has been very successful over the years.
Yeah, and you know what I do when we go on the road? I'm in a room freshmen with seniors because this is how we do things. And, hey, pick my brain. Talk to me. Hey, get them going in the right direction.
We'll get our first look at Emmanuel Doherty. He's a senior, El Sobrante, California Middle College High. Had a brace against CSUB back on October 12th. In only 27 minutes, he scored twice. So he's got those gloves on. The Matadors keeping the pressure on. Turning it back the other way is Velasquez, but it'll be Matadors' possession. So 2 quick goals here in the second half for CSUN.
Very quick. And you know, I'm going to look and see the last time Northridge scored 3 goals, and I don't think they've scored 3 all year.
Not this season.
Nope.
They have not. You are correct. Neither of these, we talked about both these teams. You know, it's been a lot of defense. 15 goals all year for CSUN, 13 for Davis.
Yeah.
In Big West play, I think it was 8-7 or 9-8, something like that. But in Big West play, they've both really locked down on the defensive side, and they've ridden the play of their goalkeepers.
And sometimes, you know, but you don't want to neglect the offense. Yeah, we could play great defense, and you go back to teams, I don't care what sport it is, but we still don't want to give up the ability to score.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you know, both coaches express that to me. You know, Terry always talks about how his teams are being dangerous, you know, and Coach Schaefer, hey, we're going to be organized, but I want to be potent. I want to be able to be prodigious on offense.
I want to be I've got to be organized because I got to know where we are. So the more organized I am, now I can execute my plan. And there's a ball into the box that's easily caught. But if I'm organized, now I know the different things that I can do off of that, so to say, organization.
And you talked about it in terms of the size of the players. Well, the reason 6'3", 190 Ethan Ord is here. The reason a 6'3" player, sophomore out of Crespi, Keegan Wildwin Ben is here. They're here to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, and when you look at the athleticism of these kids, the amount of soccer they play.
Matadors again on a rush, and the crowd getting into it here. A good crowd sitting here at Matadors Soccer Field here on a Wednesday night. The home team giving them a lot to cheer about right now, 3-1. We're in the 58th minute, but still plenty of time to play here. And if you're Davis, you're going to effort goal number 2. That's the key right now.
The 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead.
Bilter sweeps it aside.
So now they're calling for a little bit more high pressure.
And now here's Sue advancing into the offensive zone, trying to find Lillington. He'll send it wide for Pond. So a lot more aggressive is UC Davis now, obviously down. Lillington trying the 1v1 move, and down goes Gerhardt. Gerhardt, the second team selection for the all Big West team, and he kind of came on late. Again, he was a guy who kind of dealt with some injuries early in the year. Here's a very interesting fact about him. His hometown is Alterkirchen, Germany. It's the hometown of Ernst Linderman. Ernst Linderman was the captain of the Great Bismarck in the context of the sink,
sinking of
the Bismarck. Yeah. He was the captain.
Was it sunk by the Hood, or the English ship the Hood, or did the Bismarck sink the Hood?
I think the Hood sank the Bismarck.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
I know it sunk the Titanic.
Iceberg.
Yeah.
There's Gerhardt.
I saw the movie.
Gerhardt injured. And Patrick Landeros. It was funny. I was joking with Patrick because whenever I see him, I say his name. So I tell him, when you get out on the field,
let's see.
I will tell you. I'll say your name. But he said, I hope I don't get out.
Take a look at what happened. And just look at a little shin to shin.
Yeah, the legs got tangled up. But you don't know, maybe the kneecap. Maybe it was a kneecap to kneecap thing, which can be painful.
Very.
So Gerhardt to his feet. And the Matadors already shorthanded. No David Diaz today.
Yeah, and if you lose Gerhardt, that's a big loss. Second team all-conference.
And he was just named it, and he'll be helped off the pitch. His team up 3-1. And he plays such a pivotal role kind of in terms of the engine behind that offense. He'll start and restart from the middle of the pitch. That midfielder, the sophomore from Germany we're talking about. 82 minutes.
We're going to bring him over and take a look. He's still limping right in front of us, but he may go right back in.
He don't want to leave.
Nope. And the thing is, it's it's cold. If you sit down, you're gonna get stiff. So if I'm gonna go, I gotta go, and I gotta go now.
He was the injured player.
Horde misfires to the near post.
Well, didn't get a lot on. It looked like he kicked the top half of the ball, and it rolled, and I think that was Fernandez Kim, number 23.
On the corner kick for Davis, substitution checking in will be 17.
So corner kick coming up. Emmanuel Doherty, we mentioned he was waiting to check in. Ryan Dieter leaves the match for UC Davis.
He's a managerial economics major. I can't even balance my checkbook. I don't even know what that means.
I told you earlier, UC Davis, no joke.
No, it's one of the top academic schools in the country. That is for sure.
And a wonderful little college town.
Yeah, best vet school too.
That's right, big vet school. Headed away by Bustamante on the corner kick. He's racing to maintain possession, coming over his Cole Pond, and it'll stay with UC Davis. We've moved to the 60th minute here at Matador Soccer Field. The home team leading this one 3-1, 2 second half goals. In fact, they've scored thrice unanswered. And Jamar Ricketts got him going with an assist to Edson Palos. He got the equalizer in the first half.
Couple points for the young man tonight.
And then Reed and Ricketts here in the second half have extended the lead to 3-1. Winner heads to Riverside on Saturday to square off with the Highlanders and their head coach, who's named Coach of the Year, Tim Capello. Davis lost to UCR on the road on October 1st. CSUN had Riverside here on September 28th. They won that. Both games were 1-0. Davis, you can see the heightened urgency.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you say, look, if we can get the first one within this time frame, with 20 left, then we can focus. And if you're Northridge, what you want to do is you just want to, quiet that storm and just play smart, just play the ball out, get it to your guys, work it. Don't not be aggressive offensively, but be cautiously aggressive.
Marvin Arias in the book. Yellow comes out for him. So now it's 2 yellows apiece, 2 for CSUN and 2 for UC Davis. Sue sends it in. Up high was Gerhardt. Heading it away is Johnson. The ball's still airborne. And now sending it out is Dylan Gonzalez for CSUN.
That's in the new parking lot. Hopefully that one doesn't fall if we have another earthquake.
Hey now.
I remember that old one over there. That thing bent.
Chip to the near post. A Matador there. Oh, nice play sending it out.
Yeah, but there was a handball in the box, but since the ball is with Northridge, they're going to just let it go.
Through ball from Ricketts. Reed was waiting. He did not want to be offside.
Well, you saw him put his hands up like he was guilty of something.
Here comes Sue. Horde moves to his left, and man, he can move quickly.
Yeah, quick change of direction.
Doherty with a foot on it, and then Johnson sends it away. They list Horde as 6'3", but he just looks so much taller.
Yeah, and he looks a lot bigger than how much he's listed at weight-wise.
22, Lucas Fernandez Kim taking the corner for UC Davis.
There's no weight listed for Horde on the roster.
So Lucas Fernandez Kim, the freshman from Berkeley, out of the corner. There's the header, and it's too high. Trying to head it in, that was Lillington. Lillington, you mentioned, he's 6'4".
Yeah. Well, he got that ball coming up. What's got to happen is he's got to get up in the air and then get that ball and head that thing down.
So now the chess game continues. Terry Davila bringing in Mathieu Mayindu. And he is one of the top defenders. He's a transfer. He's out of Paris, France, but transferred out of Dodge City in that Jayhawk conference in Kansas. Wenzel sends it out.
And now you're thinking, you know what, I'm still going to be aggressive, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, it's kind of like that defensive replacement, in a baseball game where, you know what, I'm up 2, I'm comfortable, I'm going to go a little bit more defensive right now for a few minutes, and if it works, I just keep it going.
This is 6'3" Doherty and 6'3" Horde, and so you're going to put in the 6'2.5" Maindu, so that way if the ball goes in the air, you have a chance at those 50-50 balls. And Matthew played 85 minutes against Fullerton. Didn't play in that game against UC Irvine, which the Matadors ended up losing 2-1.
Horde tried to just kind of not drill it, but kind of chip it and bend it in. Ball went just a little bit high.
So Marvin Arias, who just got the yellow, leaves the pitch, and Matthew Maindu into the match. We mentioned out of Dodge City. '64th minute, Matadors up 3-1. Lillington just battling against Ubrick. Velasquez, headed by Doherty. I think a Matador got a piece of that as well. Running it down is Cole Pond. He'll reset with Velasquez for the Aggies of UC Davis. And Davis the first goal, and the Matadors the last 3.
But that first one towards the end of the half was huge because of the amount of confidence it gave them. And we talked about how long it's been since they scored not only just one goal against this team, and they got 3 on the board tonight.
And the wild thing is Edson Palos, the young man who scored the goal, he hadn't played a game in almost a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, and that's confidence. That's Terry Davila knowing his personnel and knowing the situation to be able to put him in the match at a time when he knew that he could produce something.
Yeah, or you put him in and think, hey, you know what, like you mentioned, they haven't seen you.
Yeah.
So, and he had no goals on the year, so you don't expect him to come in and score. And then he uses his left foot's on the inside of him on that, and then he drills that in.
I just love the chess match. I mean, these are 2 Lions. I don't want to say old Lions, but I mean Terry's.
They're classic by nature.
Right. Terry's in his 24th season. Terry Davila at the helm of CSUN, and Dwayne Schaefer in his 26th season at the helm of UC Davis, and they're both very accomplished. I think Terry's been to the NCAA tournament 7 times.
They both have over 200 wins.
Dwayne's been 3 times. You know, the amazing stat to me was, I didn't realize this, Davis, since the Big West Conference has had a tournament, they've been in 11 of 13, and in 9 of those 11, they've gotten past the first round. They've got at least one win.
That's success. That's, you know what that is? That's a culture. That's a coach that knows what he's doing.
We were talking about, Tom Izzo, not Hogan, Andy Reid, right? Doesn't Andy Reid always win his first round playoff games?
Yeah.
And then Tom Izzo at Michigan State in the NCAA tournament, you can always pencil him in the bracket because they usually at least get to the second round.
Yeah, well, and it's usually the second round where my bracket is busted.
Look at Jack Reed. He's got a score here in the second half. Fernandez Kim circling, but Bustamante with control. I mean, the first match between these 2 teams was very intense, and the Matadors believed they just missed some opportunities, and that was a 1-0 win. And UC Davis, like you were talking about earlier, Tony, they got the goal early, looking for Horde. He has the score for UC Davis. He'll chip it outside left. This is Pond. Pond with the left foot sends it across the box. Headed up by Atani.
Well, it's better that goes out of bounds and give him the throw than the corner.
So the Matadors send it out, and Ensign Palos will return to the match. I mean, might his tally, Tony, be the biggest goal of the season for CSUN?
Well, if it holds up right now, yes. I think so.
Here's a shot. Cooper Wenzel gobbles it up. And Wenzel stepping up.
He's taking a nap down there right now.
I bumped into Cooper. I went over to Matador Hall on the way back to the pitch. Cooper was walking in, and you could tell, game face.
Right. Oh,
he had his game face on. He was ready to go. And Terry Davila, I remember last year when he told me about Cooper, he said, hey, man, this guy, Lillington trying to turn, And the shot off the left foot. Nice job there by Wenzel.
And he was kind of screened by his own defender who was playing the ball.
Jansen goes up and gets it for Davis. But, you know, Terry Dowell said, listen, we obviously believe in every guy we recruit, but he said Cooper, he's like a first-team All-Big West type of guy. And as a sophomore, he's the second-team guy this year here in 2022. But he showed me a lot. The last game of the year last year, he shut out Santa Barbara, the very good Santa Barbara team, and they had all kinds of opportunities, and Cooper kept them at bay.
Yeah, he's a sophomore. You get him for, you know, a couple more years.
69th minute.
Michael, what do you got? 11. Number 8. Got 17 for 8.
50-50 ball hits the turf. And Davis just trying to get something going here. The Matadors, kind of like what Davis did in the first half, they've been fairly well organized. There was that shot by Doherty earlier.
You know what? You're a New Jersey Devils fan, so let's go hockey here. The neutral zone trap. They're mucking up the middle of the field right now is what Northridge is doing, and they're doing it very effectively.
A lot of traffic in the middle of the pitch. Mayendu sends it to the left side, and Gonzalez cleans it up.
Yeah, Reed was offside, so he's not going after the ball.
Jansen communicating. Wants some movement, and he'll send it out. Horde goes up high and sends it wide for Pond. Pond battling Mayendu, and that's why he's in there. The next set of substitutions for the Matadors. Now, Palos goes back in.
Right.
And you see
Edwards goes back in.
Edwards goes back in, but the key there is Michael Mullins. Now, Mullins has missed some time with injury, hadn't played since that Sac State game. He got into the Fullerton game for about 10 minutes, but he's another one of those guys on the back line. You know, he's got some height, 6'4" guy. They got a couple of tall guys in there, so he and Mayendu are in to kind of offset that height for UC Davis.
Yeah, 6'4", 220. He's not only big, but he takes up some space in there as well, so you know he's going to be bodying people around.
Here's the deflection. And the ball out to Bilter for UC Davis. He'll chip it back into the left side. Pond sends it on.
It's going to be a corner.
Deflected off a Matador.
Corner kick for UC Davis.
So clock continues to move here, and CSUN taking no chances. Here's a big set piece, though, for Davis.
Well, now that height that Northridge just put into the game, as you see Coach Schaefer, you know, that height right now, head that ball out.
And he's, you know, kind of moving his hands around like, hey, there's urgency. There's the header to the wide side and wide of the post, wide right, and Wenzel will just scoop it up and kick it the other way.
And he will take his time. He is in no rush as we're under 20 minutes to go.
71st minute here. Matadors 3-1. First round of the Big West Men's Soccer Championships. The winner moves on to take on UC Riverside. So I think all is said and done down on University Avenue in Irvine, because Irvine is going to move on and play Santa Barbara on Saturday. And the ball is wide, chipped in by Gonzalez. And that'll be turned back the other way for UC Davis. Here's Bilter coming up. He'll move it ahead for Doherty. Nice little heel pass from Doherty, but there's Mullins to clean it up for CSUN. Mullins, an experienced defender. Goodman trying to make a play, and now Davis has it. Here's Glasser, will send it in. Left side of the area, and that's Marley Edwards there running it down.
He's just trying to let it go out of bounds and eat a few seconds and then just get the goal kick.
Dwayne Schaefer instructing his players. Made the postseason last year, did the Aggies. They made the NCAA tournament back in 2019. They lost a heartbreaker last year. We talked about it earlier, that overtime thriller, thriller for the Gaucho fans.
Yeah.
Thriller against UC Santa Barbara, which they ended up, the Gauchos won in the 107th minute. Bustamante sends it airborne. Mullins trying to head it down, but Pond with it. And now Edwards turning the other way. Marley just sends it out. Goodman going to chase it down for Davis.
And sometimes you just want to play a ball to space, play it to space, and now we're just going to regroup because we're not worried about scoring. We're just worried about resetting the defense, making sure everybody's in the right spot.
Here's the strike from Batchelor, and he had a goal against the Matadors last year, but Wenzel playing it on that far post, and he'll take his time as the clock continues to dilapidate.
That's a big word.
84th minute.
Yeah.
Bilter keeps it alive, and here's Edwards. Edwards against Sue. Sends it in. There's the header. Just missed wide of the right post.
I love the fact that the ball was in, he came back onside, then went. Very smart play.
Edson Palos again trying to add to his legend here in the postseason. Got the big equalizer for the Matadors in the 40th minute to make it a 1-1 match, and ever since then it's been all CSUN. Jack Reed and Jamar Ricketts with tallies after that. Here come the Matadors. Palos with a strike. Just spins wide of the near post. Another look at Edwards there. Yeah,
nice header, and in really, really good position was Jansen.
That was Ubrick, I believe, on the header. But yeah, Jansen, he knows how to position himself, and the back line for Davis has done a nice job in terms of organizing back there. I think they're a little more scattered now because the urgency for the score.
Yes, it's now you're pushing guys up. You see that they've got everybody on this side of the midfield.
Pond sends it across.
One guy really back, and that's Bilter. Everybody else is pushed up just outside the 18.
Heading it up, I believe that was Lillington that headed it up. And then Batchelor there on the far post as
that's
well.
dangerous.
Here's the strike across, and that was nearly precarious for Cooper Wenzel, but Gonzalez gets it out. Sue chests it, then heads it down to keep it in, but stumbling through is Gonzalez. He got a piece of it. Here's Edwards off to the races. Marley sends it wide to the right side for Gonzalez.
See, and that's where Northridge just be patient. Everybody for Davis is pushed up. They're trying to bring everybody into the box, and guess what? Now you get that ball cleared, and then you get somebody out on the run.
'76th minute, it's 3-1 CSUN. Under 15 minutes, they'll send them to a Saturday date with the Highlanders of UC Riverside, the regular season Big West champions. The Highlanders, the #1 seed in the conference. It was a mad scramble on Saturday night. The Matadors won, the Highlanders won, the Anteaters won. All of a sudden, a three-way tie for second place. Once all the tiebreakers were factored in, CSUN ended up the #4 seed as the corner kick comes across. Headed up by Bilter, out comes Wenzel to play it. Now Ubrick along the corner for CSUN. Idris sends it out. And again, the Matadors, a late scratch. You know, David Diaz have been playing so well, Tony, for CSUN over the last couple of weeks, and he got the Big West Freshman of the Year. Terry Davila informed us before the match he's going to be unavailable today. And obviously, hopefully,
well, you just hope he's available if
right.
This result holds, that he's available for Saturday.
Sue sends it in. Horde up high along with Mayendu, and that was the strategy we were talking about.
Try to go to that far post.
But we talked about it before the match. It's the next man up.
Yes. And that's, that's like during your non-league or your non-conference. I'm playing guys. I'm seeing where guys fit. I'm trying to find out, what are your strengths? Where can I use you? And when you look at it, in a game like this, you get a guy that hasn't played in a while. He comes up and he comes up big.
Here's Hayden Carlson entering the match for UC Davis. Carlson, a sophomore from Santa Barbara. Got a big left foot. That's probably why he's in there. Jack Reed back in for the Matadors, along with Jamar Ricketts, has re-entered the match for CSUN. They lead this one 3-1. Edson Palos comes back to the bench. Is credited for a job well done.
Wow.
78th minute. It's a 3-1 CSUN lead.
So now you're CSUN, you don't want to sit back, but you don't want to play too aggressively because you don't want anybody to, get a ball by you. Good bump there.
Here's Bilter trying to restore some order for UC Davis.
Nice little give and go. And that'll be a corner.
Goodman sends it out, deflected off a Matador. So a set piece for the Aggies and a huge opportunity.
Corner kick for UC Davis, taking it is 21, Hayden Carlson.
And that's why he's put in, Tony. Got a big left foot.
Yep.
That's everything else right-handed, but except he's got the big left foot.
I like using a lefty here because you're going to swing it in on the bend.
And Coach
Schaefer's gotten a lot of airtime tonight.
When we talked about Carlson, he said, he's kind of the soccer equivalent of a gym rat, kind of eats, drinks, sleeps soccer, and the ball skittering along the far post, but hits the cage, and it'll be a goal kick coming up for CSUN with their team leading 3-1 as we descend into the 80th minute. 2 goals here in the second half for the Matadors are the difference, but perhaps the biggest goal of the game and maybe the Matador season came in the 40th minute of the first half when Edson Palos, who hadn't played in nearly a month, found the net off the find from Jamar Ricketts.
Because we mentioned it earlier, the team that scored first, out of both of these had won how many?
Right. Davis was 4-0 when scoring first. Matadors were 5-0. And the first goal was big, as it always is. Here's Lillington into the area, tripped down by Maindu. Play on, says the official.
Yeah.
Carlson, left foot, sends it in front, chipped out. That was Johnson.
There's going to be a shot.
Doherty with a shot, right at Cooper Wenzel, scoops it up like a shortstop.
And that one's easy. That's right on the ground.
Doherty did not get the oomph behind that, I
No.
think, that he wanted to, Tony. Nice play here by Lillington, and then the Davis contingent, obviously they wanted a
they want the call on that, but I'm not going to sit here and say it should have been or shouldn't have been. I'm barely qualified to do this job, let alone officiate.
To be fair, the officials have been kind of letting them play. They've been letting them play all night. Ricketts chasing.
And I like the fact that now you're deep down in their end. You get the ball, good pressure by Ricketts. Coming on 9 minutes left.
But I mean, Jamar, when he made that play at the end of the first half, it changed the entire texture because we saw how well Davis had been organized on the back line, and he kind of blew it all up a little bit.
And it maybe frazzled them a little bit too.
I think definitely they were a little shook, kind of like a pitcher cruising along and then he gives up a home run. Here's Goodman playing it in the corner for UC Davis. He'll send it out. Flying back in is Arrington for the Matadors, and now Goodman, for good measure, will send it high and out.
You got a foul on Horde right at the midfield stripe.
So Davis will get an opportunity here. Horde has the goal for the Aggies, came in the 9th minute. And the Matadors had come in scoreless against UC Davis for 279 minutes. It went to nearly 319 before the tally by Palos. I think it was 39-56, 40th minute in the first half. So next substitution for Davis, we'll get Sue back. In fact, we'll get him right now. Goodman comes limping off. Luke Goodman, member of the Big West All-Freshman team out of Santa Barbara. And now Sue kind of changed the role a little bit. He was one of those backliners, and now they need him to maybe generate some pressure on the offensive side.
Well, now you've got to go totally offensive, and now that's a great job by Wenzel to come out. Now, do you bring Jansen out of the goal a little bit farther and think, you know what, we got to get one, and time is ticking on you.
Wenzel has been solid. 6 saves tonight, 6 shots on frame for UC Davis, and he has been up to the challenge as we're now in the 83rd minute here. Urgency picking up for the Aggies. You got to get the first before you can think about the equalizer. So trying to work a play.
But Northridge's defense has been very good in the last 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, Gonzalez heading it out. They kind of built a wall back there at that 18-foot box. Is Reed playing it? And just, postseason atmosphere here. Two teams that have played a tight game, had kind of a burgeoning rivalry between the two of them over the years. The two coaches, obviously, both very experienced and have both been very successful. Matadors saw a string of postseason appearances end in 2021. Obviously, there was no 2020 season. They'd made the postseason every year between 2015 and 2019. And if you take it back to 2012, it was every year except for that year in 2014. Here's Lillington in front being harassed by Arrington.
And here you're Northridge, you just want to get it out. And there you're going to give up a corner.
And the set piece coming up. I mean, it seems that every time a white jersey went to the ball, there were 3 red jerseys there.
Yeah, well, that's what you need. That's what you need to be.
So here's Carlson, the lefty, will set up the corner kick. Swings the foot in front, headed up. I think it was a Matador that headed it off Bustamante. Lillington trying to get in there and then sent airborne by Gerhardt for CSUN. Headed out by Johnson and a whistle. I think it was Carlson and Johnson bumped heads.
And you need, if you're the Northridge player there, I think that's Johnson. Just go away. Just walk away.
Having some words with UC Davis is A.J. Johnson.
And he needs to get away, too.
Getting in front of him. That's
Darty needs to just walk away. Don't instigate, just walk away.
Levine Gerhardt working on his rhetoric skills, trying to back off the Aggies of UC Davis.
You know they're not talking about the upcoming election day.
Perhaps Doherty speaks German as well. Let's get a look at it. Johnson and Carlson both go up high and they just kind of bump heads.
Yeah, that's 2 guys going for the ball.
Now, was there a card issued there?
I did not see one.
Yeah, it looked like his hand was in the air. I didn't see a card in the hand. And now cooler heads prevailing as Patrick Landeros, the sports medicine professional for CSUN men's soccer, is looking at A.J. Johnson. Now, you worry at that point. You worry about the concussion, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you've seen it in football.
Yep.
Sometimes after a person bumps their head in a concussion, they're not the most reasonable person.
No. Well, there's a story. Hart High School, kid named Kyle Matter was the quarterback. Kyle went to Stanford, and they went out after he got hit real hard. And one of the questions somebody asked him was, "What's the Pythagorean theorem?" And Kyle goes, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And all the coaches looked at each other and thought, is he right? They didn't know. It's like, what one of you boneheads asked that question?
So Johnson will leave the match, and Marvin Arias will check back in. And obviously A.J. wasn't happy about the events that occurred that led to his departure from the match.
And the smart thing is, you know what? You may be injured, you may be not. Just get off the field.
Right. So now Gonzalez and Arias deciding how they're going to position themselves here as we're under 6 minutes to play in regulation, a 3-1 lead. Now, normally during the season, Tony, we did not have overtime. They changed that rule this year. There would be overtime should Davis tie this match.
Well, there has to be because it's, you're talking, playoffs.
Of course, yeah. 2 10-minute sessions, no golden goal. I found that interesting. They would play through 20 minutes. If it were still tied after 20, then they would go to penalty kicks. Ricketts has been so good. And here come the Matadors. Arrington on the outside, working against Glasser. Sue gets over there as well.
And Northridge gets, did they say corner? Throw, so it's a throw.
But no matter how this ends, Tony, what a showcase tonight for Jamar Ricketts.
Oh, you want to say it's his coming out party, but not really. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists on the year coming in. So add 1 and 1.
Here come the Matadors, the chip to the near side and sent out by UC Davis. That was Carlson sending it out for the Aggies. The Matadors bring it back in.
And they're just going to be content with keeping it down there?
So the Matadors return to the postseason for the first time since 2019, and they would love to get a shot at UC Riverside. They played the Highlanders here, but it was the first game of conference play. A lot has changed since then, and they're going to go to that turf at UC Riverside. Very different feel on that playing surface, but the Matadors played at a couple of places with turf, most notably Missouri State, which didn't end up well for them, but they got the experience of playing on that surface.
And you know what? These kids play so many games on turf because when you go to club tournaments or whatever, most schools have the turf, so it's not like it's that foreign of a substance for you to play on anymore.
But when the other teams played on it all year, that's the advantage. Bachelor has it deflected, and it'll stay. I believe the handball was on CSUN. So we're under 4 minutes to play. We've crept into the 87th minute. Ghazal Hassan with you along with Tony Muskell. It has been an exciting match tonight. First round playoff action from the Big West. Cole Pond setting up the free kick. Pond comes in. He's played 90 minutes in 3 straight matches back in the middle of October. Had an assist. Oh, check that. Had played 89 minutes against Sac State on Saturday. Here's Bachelor in front, battling against Gonzalez. The shot and the goal. Oh, no goal.
I know it was that was They went to get the ball outside the net, but that was scored by Bachelor.
And so we're a goal closer for Dwayne Schaefer's team. Bachelor actually had his first career goal against CSUN last October 17th. That was a 5-0 win, and the strike just beats Wenzel to the right side.
See, you thought because he went to get the ball on the outside.
Yeah.
Wenzel's like, I'm going to hold on to this for a minute.
So make it 3-2 now, and Davis creeps a little closer. Tony Muskell once told me the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead.
Because that next goal is all momentum for the other team, and now look at Davis. Now they're pushing forward. 10 guys are pushed.
Here's Carlson against Gonzalez. He'll send it out front for Bilter, and a little bit, you can see a little bit of a lift, a little more spring in the step for the Aggies because they're a goal closer. Pond, little give-and-go action with Carlson. Left foot sends it down.
And if you're Northridge, you want to keep everything in front of you. Everything's got to stay in front of you.
Bachelor with the goal to make it 3-2.
Dwayne Schaefer has been up and he's been barking. Terry Davila has said nothing the entire night.
The
2 different coaching styles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Terry can get heated as well, but I think
I haven't seen it.
The
I've heard that. Yeah,
the assignment was clear.
Yep.
He knew the assignment. He was very relaxed when we talked with him before the match. He knew his players kind of knew what they needed to do, and he was confident. The one thing he told us was no David Diaz.
Yeah.
Glasser battling with Arrington and the whistle.
Arrington better get up because they're not going to stop it.
Into the 89th minute. Now an Aggie down in front. Mullins sends that one up high. Gonzalez 50-50 ball against Carlson, who wins it, but wins it to Edwards, who sends it out. I'm sorry, that's A.J. Johnson back in the match. 23, not 22, and 90 seconds left. Bilter. Looking for Velasquez, and it's out over the goal line.
So now your Northridge just kick it out, get it deep, keep it deep. Your Davis, you've got to get that. You got to play that second ball.
So Wenzel waving everyone away, the sophomore keeper. 5 saves tonight for Cooper. Second team all Big West selection. Some of the CSUN basketball guys there along the fence watching Cooper Wenzel and the rest of the Matadors as they lead 3-2 here in this first round Big West Championship. Winner gets Riverside on Saturday. 40 seconds for Davis to try to extend this match. Doherty lopes into that penalty area, headed out by Gonzalez. 30 seconds remain. Here's Emmanuel Doherty with a touch. Carlson, deflected. Headed out. Sent to the far side. Here's the opportunity. Wide right.
And that should do it.
10, 9, 8.
You hear the countdown from Jim Henry, and that'll do it. Matadors advance to the semifinals here in 2022. They knock off UC Davis 3-2, their first win against UC Davis since the regular season in 2018. CSUN 3, UC Davis 2.